Hey everyone, my name is Carolynn Mincin. I was just interviewed by Keith Andrew. I had a great time. He's doing a wonderful, wonderful job. He totally rocks, and I think you'll enjoy this.
Gentlemen, welcome to 526. I am your host, Keith Andrew, along here with Carolynn Mincin. I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, the honor's all mine. For people who want to know what my talk show's about, the whole point of my talk show is to show people, the whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities. To never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. It's to prove to them you can break the labels. So hashtag break the labels. So that being said, half hour, 33 minutes every time. Freedom of speech, self-expression. Uncensored, you can say whatever you want, and there's no script. To start it off, I'm going to ask some easy questions, and we can go to the hard-hitting ones. You can ask me anything you want, gloves off. And starting off, how was life growing up?
Interesting. I grew up in the Hell's Kitchen area of New York, which is now rather gentrified, but back then it was interesting. My parents had sent me to a Catholic school because the public schools were way too rough. They felt we had a better possibility of survival. A lot of the kids that I went to school with ended up doing time, literally doing time. So they weren't the best to grow up with, although I did have some really neat people that I did grow up with. And let's see, it was a learning experience. Very much so in a lot of ways. And it took a lot. The school I went to was very tough. And the funny thing is that one of the guys who used to pretty much beat up on me ended up in the Federal Witness Protection Program for ratting out his friends in a gang he belonged to called the Westies. And they actually wrote a book about it. And I was thinking, well, yeah, he certainly lived up to his aspirations. But a lot of other people who I went to school with went on to becoming professors and physicians and attorneys. And some of them would just turn to be really, really nice people. So you take all that and you just build on it.
No, absolutely. There's a lot of people I went to school with, a lot of druggies and dirtbags and neo-Nazis or whatever you want to say. But there's half of them that are decent, and there's like in every race and everything. It doesn't matter what you want to say. In every race, it's 50-50. You got to have the normal, and then you have the garbage.
Pretty much, yeah. And the thing that I find is, I moved away from the city, and now I find I return there frequently because I go to acting class. And when I mentioned that some of the kids I went to school with, every day that I go there, I pass by this particular, hardware store that my mother and I used to frequent when I was a child. And I have since learned that one of the guys that I went to school with, actually, that we renewed our friendship, in middle age, turned out that when he was a teenager, he knocked it over with two other guys from my school, resulting in the death of the proprietor. Ah. So every time I pass by there, I think, yeah, this is the place that Gene knocked over, and a guy died. And it's strange because now that I go there, it's like I relive some of the experiences I had growing up, which were definitely life-learning experiences. I mean, back when I was growing up, you worry about kids bringing guns to school. Back then, they were just pretty frequently bringing knives. Yeah. And we're not just talking switchblades. We're talking about really full-blown-out butcher's knives. And that was a Catholic school, so you can't imagine what the public schools were like.
Oh, my dad was a former assistant principal for about 36 years. He started since he was 19, so I always hear a lot of stories.
Oh, Oh, yes, it was interesting. And the funny thing is, I became friends with a very nice lady. It turns out that we somewhat ran in the same circles back then, but we just got to know each other the last few years. And she knew the people who were affected when this particular, by both guys, who were not exactly the nicest of people. And you start catching them. Oh, you know him. Oh, you know him. Oh, I know her. And it's like, oh, it's like a very strange deja vu. Yeah, it was interesting.
For an example, there was this kid I went to school with, and he should be just locked up or in a mental institution or whatever the hell. But he basically is a real, neo-Nazi, just to give you the highlights. And he basically went into this house, and he knew it was a black family house, and him and a 15-year-old, kicked in the walls and ripped out the pipes and destroyed the house. And instead of getting, like 2 years in prison like he deserved or longer, all he got was a slap on the wrist and be like, don't do that again. Because he had a disability. Like people say use disabilities as a crutch or an excuse, and I am not guilty. I am guilty because I always use my disability as a crutch and an excuse. Oh, I don't have to do this because I have a disability. But if you're breaking the law and you're destroying a $45,000 house, I don't give a damn who you are or what your excuse is. If you're going to take responsibility for your actions, disability or not, if you do something that's against the law, whatever happens to you happens to you.
So we've known our fair share of awful people.
Yes.
Okay.
So the next question I was going to ask you, as you mentioned something off the air, but I do want to talk about, is my learning disability. And
right.
I hinted towards this in the beginning, and this is not really about me, so I will hint towards this because you asked me, and I want to address this for viewers. I was about the age about 4, 5, when I was diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, social disorder, panic attacks. I'm socially awkward. Unfortunately, I'm still like that today, and my family likes poke fun of that. It's like you can't have a normal conversation because you just spew off at the mouth. And so yes, I am socially awkward. But I'm a work in progress. I was labeled as handicapped, mentally disturbed, and retarded. I read and learn at a 5th grade level. I can't read. Okay, I can read a little bit, but then it starts to bother me. Yeah, I can write, but I'm not really the best speller, so I think I'm a dyslexic. I was pushed along through high school. Pretty much, I was just giving you the highlights. Saying, here's an IEP, you can go work on a car, go figure. You can work on a car, you can work on a refrigerator, be a janitor, or work in retail for the rest of your life. Have a nice life. So that was a fun 4 years. So basically, you asked me, why did I do this? And I used my dad for an inspiration. I used my brother for an inspiration. And I'm just showing you that, hey, you can label me whatever you want, but that's not going to dictate who I am and how I'm going to live my life. And I'm going to show you I can still amount to something.
You don't seem socially awkward to me.
Because I've been doing this for 5.5 years. I'm very passionate about my talk show. I want to do this until the day I die. And every day, basically the talk show for me is I'm meeting new people. I'm working on my people skills. And it's helping me become a better person step by step. If that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. It's a friend of ours always had a saying, slow and steady wins the race.
No, absolutely.
That's the way to go.
And I don't want this to be about me because if you look back all my other episodes, I always trail off and make it about me. But this is about you. And I saw that you were a comedian. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I am a stand-up comic. I'm also an actress, and I'm trying to get, I guess, most exposure. I do a lot of background acting, and I'm trying to get into foreground. I like making people laugh. I like writing comedy. I'm currently working on a web series called The Accidental Redhead with my acting coach, John Pallotta. We are working out of the Producers Club in New York City. And actually, it does deal with the main character, the redhead, who had the disability whereby she is deaf. She's also an ex-con, but she's a deaf ex-con.
Interesting.
So I spoke with a friend who is a teacher, a special education teacher with a background in deaf education, about how to approach this, how to make it funny, but not insulting in any way. And she gave me a few guide points, and we went through a few things, and she said, "You're fine doing what you're doing." So I made sure, because the character has no filter whatsoever, which has nothing to do with having a disability. It's just that because she is deaf, sometimes people who are not familiar with what it is like. For example, there's one scene where she is going on a blind date, and once the guy finds out that she is deaf, he starts yelling, and she's trying to say that, you're not helping. You just look like a blowfish with a really big mouth. Okay, I cannot hear you. So, but it's interesting. So, I write my own comedy sketches. I write my own stand-up. I put together certain videos that are of a comedic nature. I also post my own stand-up, and I enjoy what I'm doing. I do enjoy making people laugh, but I also enjoy acting and comedic acting. So some of my work is out there on YouTube.
I don't know if you know my friend, Keith Ellis.
Keith Ellis, that name keeps popping up. I don't know if I've met him, but I know I've heard the name several times.
He was someone else that I had on the show, and you guys have in common that you do comedy, not like, George Carlin, Dennis Leary, or Bill Maher. Like, it's outrageous, but it's still funny. But it's more like a clean version of it. So,
yeah, my comedy, I am a clean comic. I have one or two curse words in my entire set of routines. I keep it to what my life is about. 90% of what I do in it is absolutely true. So there's only 10% of exaggeration. Yes, my husband did get me kicked out of Lamaze. There is no exaggerating that. I do not touch on political items because I want people to have the time to escape.
Yeah.
To me, I think there's a need for that, to have people escape for about 10 minutes or so and go on one of my crazy trips.
No, I agree. Now, the next question I was going to ask you is, who are some of your favorite comedians and who influenced you? Actually, two parts in one. Who are some of your favorite comedians that influenced you? Mm-hmm. And have you ever worked on a big stage?
Joan Rivers, God rest her soul, was one of the best ever. Carol Burnett. To me, she's the queen of sketch comedy. Bob Hope. Johnny Carson. You had a biting wit. I appreciate wit. They had a biting wit. Although with Joan Rivers, nothing was sacred to her, so she just went off, and that was fine. As far as being on a big stage, that has not happened yet.
Can you give me 1 second? I'm sorry.
Vanessa Lina. Adrian Lalo. This is Cynthia Bastinet. I'm Sonia Fisher. This is Shane Smith. My name is Alexandra Bowie.
My name is Amelia Clover.
Hi, I'm Amy Linden.
Hi, I'm Anita Nicole Brown.
It's Renee Green.
Hi, my name is Asata Caldwell.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brooke.
Hi, I'm Bryn Berg.
Hi, I'm Casey Dunn.
Hi, it's Cassandra Kavinsky.
Hi, I'm Christina Briza.
I'm Cindy Hogan. I'm Courtney Sinello.
Hi, I'm Daisy.
My name is Deborah Jane East.
Hi, my name is Dinah Maasea.
Hi, everyone. I'm Victoria London.
Hi, I'm Heather Crona.
Hi, I'm Heather Callahan Stevens.
Hi, I'm J. Nicole Ralph.
My name is Jamie Petrone.
My name is Julie.
My name is Julia Brankovic.
Kathleen Wills.
Kimberly Amano.
Hi, my name is Laura Putnam.
Hi, I'm Laura Chapanis.
Hi everyone, I'm Alyssa Damas.
This is Michelle Mupo, aka Fuchsia.
I'm Rachel Rivera.
Hi, my name is Sarah Joy Mount.
Hi, I'm Susan Brender.
Hi everyone, this is Venus Leone.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Dana.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Herrera, and I was just on the Keith Andrew Network. It was tons of fun. We used up all our time and then some. I really recommend this show, and try to be a guest on Keith's show.
But yes, as far as being on a big stage, that has not happened yet. I've been on smaller stages. I've been in coffee houses. I've been, Broadway Comedy Club, a few other places. I'm going to be doing a show on August 8th in Randolph, New Jersey at the Music Den. But if you really want to sound highfalutin, you'll call it the Randolph Performing Arts Center. But I call it the Music Den because that's what you see when you drive up. And so I'm trying to get to the big stage. I've gone to, as I draw, comic strip, been there a number of times, but not any huge stage. But I'm really looking forward to the possibility.
Well, what is your dream? Like, I think you'd be perfect for Westbury. You know, it's a small arena. Well, it's a small stage. So you can probably get like maybe 10,000 people there. John Edwards gets like 10,000 people in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that'd be perfect for you. Or what do you think about like Madison Square Garden or the Izod Center?
Sure, not a problem. I'm not that far from NJ Pack. That would be great. Yes, I definitely would love to be able to one day do big arenas. One of the things that I do like, however, is that when I'm doing a show, I like being able to see the faces of the audience. A lot of other comics will say they don't want to see that. I prefer that. I'm more of a storyteller. I do not do crowd work, per se, but I like to garner the reactions from the people who are upfront and personal. I do not insult anybody. I do not go out of my way to, pick on someone and insult. But I like to bring them on to this trip. And it all depends on, what they're looking for. Generally, my stuff tends to be clean for the most part. But it's, as I said, it's based on the fact a lot of things that are real in my life. And if some people find that funny, that's great. One of the things that comes to mind is I was doing a show and just put it out there, making your friends laugh is probably the hardest thing to do. At least my friends, because they're not just going to laugh, for the fun. No, I really have to make them laugh in order for it to be worthwhile. So I was doing a show, and after the show, one had come up to me and said, listen, I want you to know that I was not planning on coming out tonight, but my son's best friend just recently died in a freak car crash. She was 21 years old, and she left behind a 1-year-old baby girl. And the sadness was too much for me to take, so I decided to come out to see you. Because I knew you would make me forget, and I knew you'd make me laugh. And any time that I've actually thought of quitting, I go back to that, because I've had other people come up to me after a show and saying, hey, I had really been having a very hard time. You made me laugh. You made me forget about it. That's a good feeling, a really good feeling.
No, absolutely. And for my case, it's a lot of people say I'm not funny, but when I'm sarcastic, it's funny. Like, okay. I do some voices. Like, I do Yogi Bear. I try to do Ray Romano, Yoda. I'm
a fan of Yoda. Do Yoda for me.
All right. Okay, I'll tell you the story for it. I was working at Target. And this woman was buying all Star Wars stuff. And she bought a nightlight. And it's like, yeah, and she changed her mind for some reason. Oh, because all Star Wars items were on hold. Just when the Rogue One was coming out. And they said, September, you can't buy any Star Wars stuff until September. But why is it on the shelf? I don't know. It's kind of ridiculous. And so I said, you can't buy the nightlight, but you can get the other stuff. And so she's like, fine, I don't need it. And it's like, sleep in the dark? He will. Nightmares? He will have.
That's good. That's funny. How did she respond to it?
She started to laugh. There's this other voice that I like doing just to mess with people. I used to work for Yankee Candle, so I used to be like, "Hi, welcome to Yankee Candle. How can I help you today? Is there a candle you're looking for? This one's my favorite. I like to sell the smell of chocolate. Yes, we do have sales." I just do that to mess with people.
Did you ever go to the Yankee Candle flagship store in Massachusetts?
No, but I've been in the one in Woodbury Commons.
Yeah, if you ever get a chance, I highly, highly recommend it because it's massive to begin with. And you have different areas that they're always changing. You have the Nutcracker Castle. You have the Christmas tree forest. They have this Bavarian type of market. Everything is very decorative. Everything is Christmas. I mean, every time you walk in, you're always hearing the song, "It's always Christmas at Yankee Candle." And after a while, I'm thinking, yes, if you're listening to that 8 hours a day, you're probably going to go psycho. Really, after a while. I mean, I love Christmas, but that alone would drive me crazy. But you have all these different things. They used to have like a car museum there, and then they changed it off, and then they put all these other different things with housewares. And it's not cheap. It's more like the experience going in, and you could get fudge, fresh made fudge or whatever, and have your picture drawn. And they have all these other beautiful crafts and stuff like that. And it's really quite nice. The only thing they did is they used to have this thing called an animatronic Oompa band, which made sense because this is like a Bavarian street scene, and they switched it off to the hillbillies. Doesn't work. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. But it's a really nice place to go. And around Christmas time, they take, I think, this the day after Thanksgiving, they have Santa Claus arriving by helicopter. And then they have him riding over to some other place where the kids can go in, and it looks like a winter wonderland. And the biggest sadness I have regarding that is that we've been bringing our children there ever since they were pretty much embryos. And my son and my daughter pretty much broke out into a fight in front of Santa Claus. And I really wish I would have just gotten that on camera. Now notice, I'm not saying I really wish they hadn't broken out into a fight. My regret is that I do not have any video evidence to back it up, because this would have been great. Yeah, I'm probably not going to be the best candidate for being Mother of the Year, like Donna Reed or anything like that. But yeah, things like that, hey, that's fun, And then years from now, show it at their weddings, saying, yes, this is when they were little, having a fist fight in front of Santa Claus.
It's like, now that you mention it, there was a wrestling match, and there's a wrestler, Dean Ambrose. It's like every time I hear it was about, I'm trying to think of the full name, but it's like Miracle on 21st Street, Street Fight. And
all right.
He said, every time the bell rings, I'm going to punch him in his face. Instead of an angel gets his wings.
Angel gets his wings, another one loses their teeth. You know why? No. Either way, it's really good, business for dental implant professionals.
It's true.
Think of it that way.
No,
okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go.
I was going to ask you, as a stand-up comedian, have you ever done any voiceovers or impressions?
I do not do any voiceovers or impressions during my routine. Voiceovers, there are certain companies that will pay for me to do their recordings for them. Hi, you've reached XYZ Associates. We're not here at the moment, but if you ring this number, you can, just go on from there. So, no, I don't interject that. I do have a rant, a rap rant that I do in one of my routines. And I have one or two other songs, original songs that I put together that I'm just basically spoofing on things in my life and stuff like that. But yeah, all my material it's pretty original for me.
It is hard to be original these days because, for an example, you look at WWF and WCW during the whole Monday Night Wars where they go head to head. down you fast forward to the same company, but they're now called WWE and TNA, and they copy each other. It's kind of like, well, why can't you guys just come up with something original? And yet, most of the stuff, it's from movies and TV shows, and it's been done for over the years for different generations. So it's really hard to be original. For me, doing a talk show like this is really original because
it is.
No one has really done this.
I mean, my material, it's original for me because it's based on things in my life. I seldom have anything in it that does not relate to my life. Like there was this one thing, you were talking about dealing with disabilities. I have something to tie it all in, okay? We can talk about anything, you said, right?
Yes.
Right, okay, so this thing really happened. I remember I mentioned my friend who is a teacher for the deaf.
Yeah. All
right, so I went to her wedding, and I had a lot of people there who are also teachers for the deaf. And the good thing about that is that, if it gets too loud, you don't yell, you could just do sign language. That works out fine. I mean, hey, when I was in college and I was taking up sign language, it was great when we used to go to clubs because at least we could communicate with each other. So I'm here at the wedding. It's going on for a while. Food is not coming and I'm really hungry. And the sign for hungry, the ASL sign, is to take a cup and then to go down your esophagus to indicate hunger. So, and if you do something really, a move really profound, that means you mean even more. It's the need is greater. So I said to her, Yolanda, I'm really, and she said, whoa, Carolyn, what did you say? And now everybody's just watching me with their eyes bugged wide open and their mouths are ajar. And I said, I know I've got it right. I'm really... And she said, Carolyn, you just announced to the whole room that you're really horny. Yeah. And with the exception of one person, I didn't know anybody else there. So I really made an impression. Yeah. It was a good thing that I didn't sign anything during her wedding ceremony in church. God knows what I would have ended up doing.
Would have made it more fun, though.
Yeah, no, not during your... There are certain faux pas that are really funny. Other things would have just been too embarrassing. Yeah.
I know there's a sign for, I think, the food. I have to show you this video.
I think food?
Yeah, the guy taught his cat. I don't know if you saw it. There's this deaf guy who communicates with his cat through sign language.
I've seen that one.
It's really amazing a cat can do that.
Well, yeah, animals are incredible creatures. They can learn and they're very intuitive, and if you train them well, yeah, why not?
That's true. And my funny story is I like to mess with people. So sometimes,
really?
It's a gift, and sometimes I just do it because it's my mannerisms. Sometimes I know what I'm doing, and there's other times I just do it, and they're like, "What the hell is your problem?" And like, I'm just being me. It's like, well, maybe you shouldn't be you. I was at the bubble stand. I'm a manager over at the bubble stand, and I thought, would it be funny just to get people's reactions? But because I'm sitting there with the bubble guns, and I'm just shooting off the guns and whatever, and this one guy, this African American guy, I got hit right in the face with a bubble. He was walking down with his head down with his cell phone, so he was pretty much like this. And a bubble got up and most of it popped in his eye and went, "What the f?" And then he looked at me a lot. And there's another guy. Okay, I know, keep it PG, but And the other guy, he was the same thing, he's walking with his head down, and he woke up and went, because he walked into like a whole shower of bubbles.
Wow.
And it's kind of like, you have to have fun with what you do. You can't take everything.
Expect to be walking into that. But then again, if you're focusing on your cell phone, you could walk into, hey, I've seen people fall into fountains. They're focusing on their cell phones, like, they're wet. or, they're sipping into all sorts of weird things. Literally.
Yeah, I agree. What about, actually, the next question I was going to ask you is, we're talking about Yankee Candle. Some of the candles are really good. I really like the grape. I really like the, on the watermelon, the cotton candy. And there's some other ones you kind of question about. It's like, why you want a candle that smells like Bengay? Or why you want a candle that smells like tailgate? For people who want to know what tailgate is, it's A1 sauce. Yeah, I want my whole house to smell like A1 sauce.
I didn't know they had those. I mean, I know they've had chocolate. They've had Midsummer's Night Dream.
That's a good one.
They've had bacon. Bacon is really bad to use if you're on a diet. I'll tell you right now. I haven't seen tailgate or anything. I mean, I've seen, sand and angels, or I'm thinking angels is very, very soapy.
Yeah.
Very, some angel type of thing or whatever. But the majority of their stuff is pretty cool.
No, it is. Cool. The one candle I thought was kind of stupid, and this is sort of wrapping up. I do have a couple questions for you off the air. The one candle I thought was stupid, it was called Snow. And I want you, it's water. Water doesn't have a smell to it, unless you want your house to smell like Aquafina or something. It's
very snowy. It's very rather. I'm sorry to interrupt. It's very. It's like soap powder. I remember that scent pretty well, and I think they're trying to bring about the freshness of the snow, which doesn't really work.
No. My last question for you is: have you ever worked in retail, and do you have any funny retail stories?
The closest I did to work with retail is working as a Mary Kay consultant. And I don't know if you're familiar with Mary Kay consultants. Mary Kay Ash started this really great company, primarily for women, to have careers where they could at least not be limited by the glass ceiling. The woman was a self-made millionaire, and she had some really interesting sales philosophies that were very good. One of the things that you do is you do go over to people's homes, and you do teach them how to do facials and skincare and all those different things. And basically, I went to one place. I showed up in a very affluent section of Wayne, New Jersey, and it was after a terrible snowstorm, and there were sheets of ice on the stairs, and I was, showing up in my appropriate suit, wearing heels because we really want to maintain the appearance, and I have all my little suitcases, my Mary Kay cases with me, and I had to do the limbo in order to get into somebody's home because they had a heater hooked up to one of their pipes that it wouldn't freeze, and the garage door would only open so far.
Right.
And here I am, dressed in a suit, not even a pantsuit, but a dress, with a skirt and everything, high heels, with these things, doing like doing the limbo. And all she bought, did she even buy anything? My gosh, it turned her into a freaking goddess. And I think at most she might have, she didn't even buy a darn thing. That witch. Really? Gosh, I mean, I hope her pores open up. No, they probably have. But anyway, no, that wasn't nice of me. But still, at least, buy a lipstick or something, or at least get a blowtorch and melt down the steps so that a human being can get up on. But dealing with retail sales can be really interesting. But in this case, with Mary Kay, you always have to have a smile on your face, and there are times you would just want to tell somebody what they can do with themselves. Yeah, I mean, I've actually did a makeover on somebody who showed up at my house. It was after my daughter was born, and she showed up later, which kind of messed up my schedule because I was still breastfeeding. So I had my daughter in my arms, occupied, and I was, doing her face. She said, "Oh, don't worry. Where I come from, in Nigeria, all the women, they just whip it out and they do their breastfeeding, so it's fine with me. That it's okay." I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much, as far as doing the store retail, no, I haven't had the joy of it.
Like, when I try to be funny, like I was saying, it's not funny, but when I'm just worried out, that is. My last job, it didn't last long, was a temp job. I thought this guy was buying a shirt for his son. He's like, oh, do you have an extra small? Or I need a small, an extra small. And I went, oh, no one told me. I was sure it was for him. I thought it was for his son. Oh, don't worry. He will grow into it. My coworker's like, what? The shirt's for him. Oh, maybe you will grow into it.
Oh, okay. Maybe he was a tiny guy who was still hoping for a growth spurt.
That's like stupid things like that. I just like blur out. Or I went in for my actually it wasn't my check. It was like a couple of days later at the new job because I was in and out, and I came back and said, "Oh, Keith, you're back again." And I said, "Yeah, I'm kind of like a can of let's see, what is it? Yeah, I'm like a bad case of hemorrhoids." So I just randomly popped up, and everyone just started to laugh. It's like, what did you just say?
That's funny. Well, the thing is that it's, I guess, with comedy, the more natural it sounds, the funnier it can be. It's like you get yourself out of the way instead of trying to make it funny. So I find that things are the funniest when I try to keep it as natural as possible.
Right. Well, like I said, when I do something stupid, it's usually funny, but when I'm funny, I'm not really funny. So everyone else in my family has great funny stories, and I maybe have 1, 2, maybe 3 funny stories, and that's...
Hey, you got to start somewhere. You just build up from there.
It's true. I do have a couple questions for you off the air, but wrapping up our interview segment, our last 2 questions for you is, when I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what was your first reaction, and what made you say yes, and how do you feel now?
I was surprised because I was not expecting it, because when you presented the fact that you do a talk show dealing with disabilities, I don't have any disabilities, so I did not want to misrepresent in any way, shape, or form. It's a matter of ethics right there. When you said it was just a matter of getting to know other people and you're sharing information and making friends, I thought, okay, well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So that's one of the reasons why. And I thought this has been a positive experience. You do this very well.
I appreciate it. You're supporting a good cause, making a new friend out of it, and it's a win-win. And it's just going to show you that labels don't dictate who you are and who you're going to be. It's proof of them. You can still amount to something.
True.
And my other question, usually I end the show like that, but I ask you the last one first. How can people follow you? Are you on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram? Are you on any of those fun things?
If you go to, I have my own website called www.CarolynNMincin.com. So CarolYNN, Mincin, MINCIN.com. If you go to YouTube and type in my name, I'm there. I have a Facebook website called Carolynn Mincin, Actress Comedian. And I'm still getting used to Instagram. I'm having an issue with my Instagram account. And unfortunately, you cannot speak with a human being about it. You must go through all these other technical things. And I'm a person that when I'm learning I prefer dealing with human beings. If I have to read up on something, on how to do something, it doesn't register as well. I'm pretty much visual. If you show me, I can do it.
I'm the same way.
I have to, and that's not a disability. It's just the way my mind is wired. I'm more of a visual and audio as opposed to the written word.
Well, there's a video on YouTube that's step by step how you learn how to use Instagram.
Yeah, I saw that briefly today, and I think that when I do find the time, I'll probably address it. Which would not be a bad idea, because I've used YouTube tutorials to do numerous things, and like with editing or film, things of that nature. But that now that you mentioned it time-wise. Yeah, I'll probably look into it because one of the things I have is somebody had borrowed my cell phone to show me how to upload Instagram, and apparently he's got a different password than what I have on my regular Instagram, which I tried afterwards, and I'm trying to reconcile them, and it would really help if somebody from Instagram could actually just speak to me for all of 5 minutes instead of me taking the 3 hours to have to go through this Instagram minefield, and I do not want to do it because it does not make me happy. I want to go and grab a giant fish and slap them if I could find them, and to thoroughly fish slap them.
No, I'm the same way with YouTube. Unfortunately, I got my account turned off, and it's like, is there just a normal human being that I can explain what happened,
yes,
and I can just fix it? No, the computer runs everything. Well, that's nice to know that Skynet takes over.
And I find it really terrible that it's trying to get through. At least with PayPal, at some point you can speak to somebody.
Yeah.
But when you're relying solely on computers, it doesn't register as well because sometimes that problem is not just a 1, 2, 3 step problem. That problem takes far longer to go through because when you solve one problem, another one comes about. If I can present the whole picture to you, then maybe we could circumvent it.
Well, if you need help, let me know. I can see what I can do.
Yay! If I put it this way, if I cannot get through to the thing with Instagram, as far as solve my issue through YouTube, do not be surprised if I give you a ring.
I do have a couple questions for you off the air about wrapping up your interview segment. It was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest, and I'm looking forward to part 2 down the road.
Thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate it.